Hey everyone, it's Rev here again. Today, and you'll notice I'm on the wrong side of the screen kinda, because we're gonna be going through the Hell Hades website to talk about the new champion, which is the Christmas fusion that's coming. Now, there are a couple things I want to address before we get to the champion itself. Basically, one of the main reasons I'm making this video is to lay some very general guidelines, I guess, on how to summon the champion if you guys are confused, how fusion works, maybe you're new to the game. And so the first thing we have to tackle is they are trying to get rid of your shards 100%. Because once the fusion comes around, of course, two things that are always a part of it is champion chase and summon rush. And now those differ quite a bit. The way summon rush works is you have to spend a bunch of shards, and I'm looking pretty bare here. This is like not a good amount. I wish I had more. I ended up burning some like 1 or 2 months ago. Uh, One of the occasions I burned my blue shards because I was going for Duchess. I made some dumb video about it. My void shards, I don't remember what happened. I think I pulled during a 2x and then I got Ursaga, which I was very happy about from ACB. It's been a while. I have 3 now, which is okay, but again, probably not enough for Summon Rush. You guys would do well to also save on your mystery shards because these only give you 1 point per shard for Summon Rush, but if you have a ton, that can make a big difference, right? 300 mystery shards, 500, you're gonna get a lot of extra points on top, which can really help you with the Summon Rush, which is the tough one. And the reason the Summon Rush is the tough one over the Champion Chase is because for Champion Chase, you just have to get champions. It doesn't matter where. You can literally pull them out of your ass, and it's fine, right? So for example, you can use something like this, the Fragment Summons. As you can see, I already have 3 champions saved right here. 2 epics and 1 legendary. The higher the rarity, the more points you get, of course. I think it's 500 points per legendary, so I have 500 here on my Drex, which I'm really excited to get into my account. I really need them, especially for Hydra, because I'm missing some burn champions. So this fusion can't come soon enough for me personally. And I also have 2 epics here, which I believe are 250 a piece. I'm also working on getting these guys. Let me check, actually. I have to be diligent, something like that. English is stupid, who cares? Yeah, I have to be diligent about this shit. Because I would like to summon these people so I can then summon, which is the other point I'm gonna make to you guys. So I can then summon Broadmaul. I'm actually gonna need him for the faction wars because he's a lizard man and my lizard faction is absolutely trash. In fact, I can show you guys because it's open right now. Avert your eyes. You're about to see true sadness and despair right here. So yeah, I need Broadmaul for my lizard faction because I have no good lizards and I haven't summoned Razing yet. So summoning champions also works, by the way, in case you guys were wondering. So if you want to go here and summon a Lich, you can save up these epics as well during champion chase. And that's going to help you a lot to rack up those points so you can get up to the frags of whatever champion you need for the fusion. So this is why Champion Chase is way easier than Summon Rush. For Summon Rush, you straight up have to have shards, which is really annoying. Which is why they do things like this, right? They've done like 2 or 3 Void 2x in the last 2 months alone, because they want you to spend so that when the fusion comes around, hopefully you spend your hard-earned cash, whatever it is you do, on buying shards for the Summon Rush, or else you're not going to make the things, right? They're also doing it together with the 10x to make it even more appealing. So we have Ursaga here, speaking of the devil herself that I pulled recently. Honestly, very good champion. Does decrease attack and decrease crit damage on an AoE if they have attack over defense, and if they have defense over attack. She does decrease speed and decrease defense. Great champion, 3-turn cooldown, HP aura, all that good stuff. I would definitely recommend booking her. She reduces your crit damage you take by a lot with her passive as well, and she strengthens herself and places ally protection on everybody else. So she's a decent champion. She can definitely be good for Hydra. And then the one they're doing tomorrow is Negref, if I can find him. I believe he is undead. Yeah, he's undead, so he's right here. I think my camera is actually in the wrong place for this, not that I think about it, but it's whatever. He's mostly an arena champion. He does only place his buffs on one ally, so it's not really very good for Hydra, I would assume. Also had a Mischief would love to steal all these buffs, so I wouldn't really recommend using him for Hydra. But Ursaga is definitely very good for Hydra. So unless you have a surplus of Void Shards, basically my point is, if you're going for the fusion, you should not go for this. You should definitely save your shards, because Summon Rush is really rough, unlike the Champion Chase, like I explained it to you guys. And you can see here, I'm totally prepped for the fusion. I want a new champion, and I'm going to explain to you guys why in a second once we get to his skills. I have 60 energy here that I saved. I kind of ruined the number actually. I had 6066 before. Somehow I got 100 energy, which ruined my 666 thing that I was going for here. So you can see I still have 2 more refuels in here. I already took my 300 energy from the tag team arena so that it can reset again mid-fusion. You don't really need to have this much energy, but it's nice to save because you can make sure that you don't have to spend your gems, which is a big deal, especially as a free-to-play, for, emergency energy during the fusion if you ever run out. So it's nice to have this much saved up. You can see my Fane is right here from the code as well, which if you guys haven't claimed it yet, it's TGA sale in all caps, I believe. I just did it, like literally just now. And you can keep her in the stash for champion chase, although I'm not sure if that works because when I claimed my code, I got the points for the champion chase already from the tournament that's happening right here. So I think you get the points when you claim and not when you pull it out of the stash. So I'll tell you that to you guys right now. If you're counting on Fane to give you extra 250 points, that's probably not going to work. But either way, the way you always prep for these fusions, I'm not going to lay out a schedule for you guys like how Hades does, because first off, the schedule's not even out yet. And then secondly, I don't really do that. I just save a bunch of resources and I spend them as I need to during the fusion, and I get what I need, basically. It's not that hard, to be honest. You don't really need a schedule, unless you have some major compulsive disorders, which, that could be the case. But the reason why I'm here is basically how I got this much energy was saving all the refuels you get from these little pages here on the daily, right? And then do every single one of your daily quests and advanced quests. I have even more energy to take out here. There's 2 more refills in the weekly quests for me. And then I have even more energy here, 200 from the monthly, so I'm stacked up on energy. The fusion is going to be starting on the 16th, by the way, so we have 6 days for it. And basically for every day, you get about 500 energy because your cap is 130 and you get about 4 refills per day on average, I would say, which evens out to about a total of 500 energy, so 500 times 6. I am still going to be getting another 3k energy before the fusion actually starts, which means I think I actually have time to do this champion training event, which I really like doing because it gives you a legendary book, and I have some champions that I want to try for Hydra so I can make more videos to you guys. So with all that out of the way, basically telling you guys fusion advice and preparation and all that, we can actually go to the champion now. Okay, I am showing the right thing. So here's the Christmas fusion champion. Looks very cool. I really like the design. Definitely Christmassy because he looks like, he's coming from a wintry place, I guess. I have no better way of saying it. That's basically what he looks like. Pretty cool lion. And it's very weird. The first unfortunate thing we have about him is his faction is High Elves, which first off, that makes 0 sense with his design. I'm just gonna throw that out there. That makes 0 sense. And then everybody said about this because the High Elves faction is already super stacked, right? You have Apothecary, you have Relic Pretender, you have Arbiter, which is a legendary that you get for free. Most people do their High Elves faction pretty effortlessly all the way through the end, so the fact that it's High Elves is pretty unfortunate, and it also doesn't match the design. So that's one unfortunate thing about the champion already. Now he's a defense type, which is good news, right? I think his A2 probably does a solid amount of damage, and I'll explain to you guys why in a second. So the fact that he's defense, which is, it both gives him defense, tank ability basically, and damage at the same time, so that's pretty good. And his affinity is Spirit, which I'm also happy about. We get way too many magic champions in this game, especially like the 2 less free legendaries we got, which was Ninja and Alexander. They're both magic affinity. There's just way too many magic affinity champions that you get in this game. And Spirit and Force are definitely harder to come by and they're more valuable, in my opinion. Especially me, I'm always missing the Spirit champions. I don't have a whole lot that are actually useful to me. Even like Herndig, right? One of the kind of recent, no, not that recent anymore. It's been a couple months. But Herndig wasn't that long ago. He was also magic as a fusion. So I'm happy that he's Spirit, at least. Spirit, defense, these are good. High Elves, not so much. Now, they're basically claiming that this champion is going to be very good for Hydra and also Doom Tower, which I agree with. But I also think he can be used in Arena for his passive. We'll get to that in a bit. But basically, he's A1. He has a decreased accuracy buff with 100% chance when booked, just like it is written here. So it's going to have whatever Hydra head you choose to have the accuracy of, which can be really good for you. I was doing some basic testing with my with my last key on Hydra, and I think the heads have about 250 accuracy. So lowering it to 125, at least that's for the first level for normal, which is where I was testing because I'm a scrub. It can definitely be pretty useful to you because then you're not gonna need to stack up as much resistance if you're going for that kind of strategy. I just realized I was reading you guys his thoughts on it rather than the actual skills. But basically it's the same thing: 80% chance to decrease accuracy 2 turns, books to 100%, and then the A2 places a block debuffs buff and a 100% increased defense buff on all allies. I said his A2 would deal good damage, but I meant A3 actually now that I'm reading. So his A2, pretty good. 5-turn cooldown not booked. It might book down to 3, but I think it's only going to book down to 4. That is my hunch. I think it books down to 4, but it may book down to 3. We're also going to have to see how many books this thing is going to need. Hopefully not too much, right? We're definitely not like pulling legendary books out of our ears, so hopefully it's not too expensive. Then you have the A3, attacks all enemies, and this is the part that's huge for Hydra. Places a perfect Veil buff on all allies except for this champion for 2 turns. Also places, and this is why I believe this skill does a decent amount of damage, also places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns equal to 20% of the damage inflicted. And it's a pretty big cooldown, so for this shield to be any worthwhile, like any amount that's worthwhile, this skill has to have a solid multiplier on it. That is my guess, right? That's why I think he's going to deal decent damage, and it's probably going to be worth it to give him some crit, along with all the defense that you're going to be able to give him. Because since it's only 20% of the damage inflicted, for this shield, for a skill that's pretty high cooldown, I would imagine this thing has like at least 3.3 defense multiplier. That is going to be my guess. We'll see if I'm wrong or not. But the huge part about this for Hydra is basically the Perfect Veil, because you can place Perfect Veil on everybody, and you can focus the shit out of the Head of Torment, which is really important, because getting that rid of all those fears that keep stacking up on you, it's going to be very useful for your run. That head is very annoying, and it's also very easy to kill. A lot of people are killing the Head of Torment. If you're watching Hydra videos around YouTube, some people are using Inquisitor Shamael and whatever strategies. But even when I was doing Hydra, I was able to kill the Head of Torment because I used Ninja, who places Perfect Veil on himself. So that head dies pretty easy, and it's definitely a good head to kill if you can do it, because then your champions can actually play the game instead of sitting there and being afraid of doing anything. Now, his passive right here does not matter for Hydra at all, but it may be good for Arena, like I was saying. When attacked, reflects 30% of the damage this champion receives back to the attacker, so good Arena skill. Also has 30% of placing a freeze debuff on the attacker for 1 turn. So anyone who's doing AoE attacks in Arena onto your team is going to have some of the damage reflected onto them by this champion, and also a chance to freeze them, which is pretty cool. I also like his A2. He's basically a budget Duchess for Arena, because he places block debuffs on his A2 and he has Perfect Veil on the A3. Now, of course, Duchess is a little better in that sense because she does both block debuffs and Perfect Veil on the same skill. But if you don't have her, it's obviously going to be good. You can build them out. And you do the A2 first for the block debuffs and increased defense, and then you can follow it up on the next turn with the Perfect Veil if your team is still alive, which they should be after getting these 2 buffs, right? So not a bad Arena champion at all, if you ask me. Unless you already have other stronger options. So basically, that's the champion. He's definitely going to be very good for Hydra. He's going to come in big in there, reducing the accuracy of the heads, giving everybody defense and block debuffs, and also Veil, so you can actually focus down the Head of Torment. And I would say it's very worth it to go for that champion, in my eyes. He can even be good for Arena, like I was saying. Which means save your shards. If you're going to go for the fusion, you should not be pulling any voids. We struggle enough as it is while saving our resources for these fusions, right? They're really like cranking up the difficulty on these fusions, and I think it's because we sacrifice ourselves to get the champion, right? I think even though they keep raising the difficulty, like Vildrax was fucking stupid. I'm just gonna level with you guys. It was extremely stupid how hard it was to get this champion. It was insane. We had champion training running alongside tourneys like Dragon or Fire Knight or whatever it was. It was way too much for a simple frag summon for an epic. And I think the reason they made us work so hard for Vildrax is because they wanted us to work hard to get the champion that has a 100% chance to place Hex. It's the HU actually, yeah. 100% chance to place Hex on the Head of Mischief, right? I think that's why they made us work really hard for it. Because basically, so long as you have your Vildrax, you can have him do his A2, and then Head of Mischief becomes available to focus, which is a head that's pretty easy to kill as well. not very many defensive stats after you get past the hit redirection by using Hex. So I think that's why they did it, but it was absurd for a simple epic fragment summon. And then of course, there's going to be the 4 epics for the fusion. They may be really good. We often have circumstances where those epics are actually better than the legendary himself, right? So we'll see what happens with that. Either way, you guys should be saving your resources unless you have a surplus of void shards, which I doubt you have unless you're a huge whale, at which point I don't even know why you're watching me. You can just pay for everything and get the fusion anyways. So I think that's about it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed and took something out of it. I'm definitely going to be going for the legendary, but I'm still going to wait and see what the epics are like, because who knows, right? But regardless, that's what the champion does, that's how he works, that's what he's good for. Unfortunately, high elves, but the rest of whatever he does is pretty cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Save your champs, do the fusion things for champion chase as well as the fragment summon, save champions like this. And let's have fun going for the lion that's apparently an elf somehow. That's it.